Hi, this is Tom from World Class Coaching with this week's animated drill. I thought I'd try something a little different this week. I'm going to show you the diagram here, but then I'm going to show you some video I did with the game with my team. So this is a hoops game that's kind of fashioned around the Koji training pattern that I showed you previously. So we've got the players in line on the cone with the cone on their left side. So what I am in the middle here is the coach has 2 pennies. Each station has 2 pennies and 2 hoops. Whatever the coach shows is what that player needs to position inside those hoops. So the player would, as you can see here, dribble out, from the right. You can see that the player runs out, I should say, to that first cone, runs back, positions the pennies inside the hoops, and then continues their run around the coach and to the left. And this is done, at first you can do it with just 2 sides. So you've got the players coming from opposite directions, and they're completing that pattern. So the coach can hold up both pennies, they can hold up one, they can hold up none, and then the player needs to sprint out to that first cone, and that gets them to look at the coach as they're sprinting out. Then they turn, arrange the pennies in the hoops, and then turn and try to get out as quickly as they can to the left. Now you can do it with 2 at first. It's much better when you do it with 4 because everybody's going at once and the players have to kind of navigate the traffic that's on the inside of the area. They have to react quickly to which pennies are put up, and they have to reposition the pennies on the ground depending on what they see. So this works really well. It's a great engagement activity for the beginning of practice. Now, obviously, there's no ball involved, but at first what we're trying to do is inject some fun into the session, get the players ready to pay attention, ready to learn, and this is a great way to do it and to really focus them in on what the coach is doing, focus them in on their environment so that they're ready to go. So what you'll see is then I've got my team set up doing this same exercise with the same movements, with the same pattern. Now, obviously, you could set this up to the right or the left of the cone. In the example that I'll give, the hoops and the pennies are set up on the right side of the cone and the players are standing on the opposite side. Doesn't really matter either way. You can make an argument that you should do it both ways. I don't like switching it simply because then you've got to switch the equipment on each side, and it's much better to just increase the number of players that are going. So you go from 2 to 4, and then you'll see later on the introduction of a ball into it as well. So this is a great game. The kids loved it. It really got them engaged in the session and ready to participate in the practice. In the video, I've also, it's myself and the boys director and the academy director at Sporting, John Perry, that are kind of organizing the session. So you'll see here that the players are organized as they were in the diagram. And so when I hold up that gray penny, they have to run back and make sure only the gray penny is inside those hoops. And then they finish their run out and to the left. And then once everybody's set, once we make sure all the players have gone in the right direction and followed the right pattern, then I'll change that to have a different color, or have both of them up, or have one of them up, in this case both, and then they complete their run out and on the way out again. So you can do this any number of times. Obviously, it's great conditioning for the players. They were working really hard, as well as being more engaged and more thoughtful about what was going on in the session. So as you can see, as the players go, we've got some mistakes being made. We've got some players turning really wide. The goal is to have all the players get there somewhat at the same time, and then to turn kind of in unison around the coach, rather than having one player be last. So as this is going, I'm encouraging them not to be last, to make sure they get there as quickly as they can. So now we've introduced a ball. So it's the same idea. The player checks out, sees how many pennies I have up, which penny is in the air, organizes it inside the hoop, goes back to that dot, and then receives a pass from their teammate that they play then back, one touch preferably. So then after they play that pass, then they finish their run out and to the left. And as you can see, that player there obviously turned really wide around me. I want them to try to get out and turn as quickly as they can in order to, make the exercise very dynamic and very game-like, because they're getting out and they're changing direction. So then as soon as the players understand that, then we'll get them all going at the same time so that we create that confusion in the middle. I just want to make sure that they all understand the exercise, before we continue with it. So we'll do another demo with another player on another side just so that they understand, how they're going. In this case, they're going out into to the left to, finish their run. So then as soon as they've got that, then we'll show them the pennies, and we'll get them all going at once. Now, obviously, this also engages the second player in line because that player has to be ready to play the pass as the player turns around. And as you see, from watching the players here, occasionally they're not paying as close attention. Perhaps the touches aren't as great. There the player repositioned the pennies for his teammate just to make sure they're in the hoops. But they need to sprint out, look and see there's no pennies up, take them both out, pass the ball back to their teammate. Now their teammate, might see that, okay, they made a mistake and fix it for them, or, other times they leave it. In this case, as the player on the near side didn't spot the mistake. So he's going to then put the gray penny in, pull the yellow penny out before showing for the pass, making the pass. We want that pass obviously to be good. At first, I just want the players to understand the exercise. So at first, I'm not focused as much on the technical part of it, but I'm focused on, are the players understanding the pattern? Are they getting what we're trying to do? Because once they understand the pattern, then we can get into the coaching points of, locking your ankle, make sure you make a quality pass back, and all those things. You could actually have the players do this with 2 touches if you prefer, just to make sure that each touch is quality. Here I was going for speed more than for accuracy, just to get the players moving dynamically. Now, if I don't see it how I want it, in that case, I was just kind of showing the players how I want the pass back to the player's feet, and then we'll get them going again. So the idea is to get this flowing so that you're getting a lot of repetitions in a short amount of time, getting the players moving and thinking together. And they'll be coaching each other through this as well. You'll hear them talking to each other about, it's the gray penny, take the yellow one out. And, making the pass, they'll say, hey, here's the ball. So trying to get them kind of coaching each other as it goes along. There'll be a bad pass occasionally, and a player will complain at his teammate about a bad pass. So that's useful as well. We want them engaged and really thinking and motivated. And this exercise definitely does that. So you get lots of repetitions here, seeing the same pattern of the exercise.